We are going to demonstrate how to make 7 healthy soups at once. Brought to you by Ladore.me. We have a whole variety of produce because we want to make a bunch of different soups. Not everything goes in every single soup, so we'll demonstrate what goes where as we go. To simplify, we have 5 categories of products here: root vegetables, soft vegetables, legumes, mushrooms, and greens. Everything is fresh except broccoli and cauliflower, which are frozen. What we do first has nothing to do with the soups. This is something we always keep in the fridge. There are 4 ingredients there: cilantro, scallions, jalapeno, and garlic. They all together go to a food processor. Not all ingredients are necessary here. You can do it without scallion, or you can do it with parsley, with some other greens. This is a perfect taste enhancer. It's great with any grains, beans, it's great with just anything. Always keep something like this in the fridge. Now it's time to bake a few ingredients in the oven. First, carrots. We wrap them in the parchment paper and then in aluminum foil. The same is done to beets. Parchment paper first, and then aluminum foil. The same with the white potatoes. The same with the red potatoes. Parchment paper and aluminum foil. And the same with the tomatoes. So we have 5 packages here that are going in the oven. We have carrots, beets, 2 types of potatoes, white and red, and tomatoes. It all goes in the oven under 350 degrees. While it's baking, we are going back to make a broth. We have a lot of stuff, so 1 part is not going to be enough. We'll have 3 at least: zucchini, turnip, butternut squash, and we're going to add the rest of the stuff that goes in the broth: onions, leeks, celery, greens. Also, whatever we got frozen, cauliflower, broccoli, and some carrots here. A lot of great ingredients for a great broth. Obviously, not all of the ingredients have to be here. This is just an example. We happen to have all the products in stock. The last ingredient for now, parsley, and now everything is ready. All 3 parts are ready. Just adding some water and cooking the broth. The very same broth is going to be used for all different soups. There's no reason to use different broth for different soups, so the difference between the soups is going to appear later on in the way we combine the stuff. As a bonus, we are going to have the second floor on 1 part of the 3. We're going to have corn and 2 types of sweet potato over there. It has nothing to do with soups, but it's going to be good, so why not? Now it's time to cook some legumes. These are soaked and sprouted lentils, split peas, also soaked overnight first. Cover with water and put on fire, and some barley. We're gonna cook some barley separately to add into one of the soups. And now everything is on the stove. We have broth, lentils, split peas, barley, Here you see only one pot with the broth, the one that has 2 floors. 2 others are on another stove. Before we go to the next step, a quick reminder. We have some vegetables in the oven baking, we have broth cooking, legumes cooking, and some barley. And now we're gonna saute mushrooms and leeks. We don't use any water, we don't use any oil at all, not a drop of oil. So in this case we have mushrooms and leeks. Sauteing them, it just takes a couple of minutes, and then we cover and let it evaporate, and it's gonna be ready. Now, before we didn't have enough place on the stove, so now we are also cooking some more beans, cannellini and pinto beans. Obviously they are soaked overnight first, and now we place them on the stove. Now beets, carrots, tomatoes and potatoes are ready, baked. Now we took them out. Baked white potatoes join sauteed mushrooms and leeks. After a food processor is ready for one of the soups. Now this is sauteed mushrooms and leeks and baked potatoes, food processed. We are adding here the broth, which is already ready, and we are almost getting the soup done. The first one for today. Adding just a little of coconut milk. Adding some salt and pepper. Mixing a little more, and the first soup is ready. Now it's time to complete the second soup. Lentils are already cooked. We are taking leeks, turnips that were used to cook the broth, adding baked carrots, and put everything in food processor. Now this goes into the pot with lentils. And after some mixing, the second soup is fully ready. We just need to add a little water or broth in it. Now it's time for the next soup. The split peas are already ready, cooked. We just add the leeks, parsley, other greens. Also, we're gonna find turnips, zucchini, and add in the food processor. All this is processed. This mixture will be added to the cooked split peas. And we'll just have to add there some water, or better, broth. And the third soup is going to be fully ready. It's absolutely delicious. And now it's time for the next soup, number 4. We take butternut squash and turnips here, and also onion, also from the broth. Onion goes through food processor with a little bit of coconut milk. Adding water, or better, broth, and using stick. It's almost ready. Here it's good to add some cayenne pepper and a little bit of cumin for flavor. After mixing it well, the soup is ready. More cayenne and more cumin, and adding a little more broth to make it a little more liquidy. Now that the 4 soups are ready, it's time to make the next one, number 5. getting the wedges that were baked and skinning them. First we take baked tomatoes, skin them and sauteing them. Now there's no oil here, this is some liquid from the mushrooms and leeks earlier there. We don't have to have it, I mean tomatoes we could saute just in its own juice anyway. Skin them, mash them and saute them. We are adding garlic powder, black pepper and also some other seasoning. In this case we added some Italian seasoning, but it could be anything, it doesn't really matter, as long as black pepper and garlic powder is there. Taking baked carrots through a food processor and adding them to the tomatoes. And now sauteing tomatoes with carrots together. This is going to be a minestrone soup, so Italian seasoning is really good here. Also, I'd like to emphasize again that we don't use any oil. Whenever you saute anything, you don't need to use any oil ever. Now we have to cook pasta. In this case we use rice, quinoa, amaranth pasta, but of course you could use a regular also. So we're just cooking it and add the beans. There are two types of beans here. Pinto beans and cannellini beans. They're already cooked. We add them to the pasta and some liquid also, just a little, just enough. And now it's time to add sauteed tomatoes and whatever else we had over there right in here. So just as a reminder, we're making minestrone soup and we added cooked beans and barley into the pasta. And then we added sauteed tomatoes and carrots, and now adding some more broth and mixing it really well. And now we are taking leeks and celery and other greens from the broth, a little carrots cut in there, and taking it to the food processor and adding it all into the soup. And now we just have to mix it again and it's almost ready. Minestrone soup. Now all the soups are placed in the plastic containers and everything goes in the freezer. Now we've made so far 5 soups: lentils soup, split peas soup, butternut squash soup, potato mushroom soup and minestrone soup. Here it is. Everything's ready. Time for the freezer. And 2 more soups, Russian style, cold borscht first. Let's cut some cucumbers, then eggs, radishes, mix it all up. Now baked beets, grating them. Now we mix it, and on the next step using fermented soy milk, which we call soy yogurt. By the way, it's easier and healthier to just ferment the best soy milk than to buy soy yogurt or something like that. Now we are adding some cayenne and a little salt, and the first half of the soup is ready. Time for the second half. Skinning potatoes, chopping them up and cooking them. Now adding some cilantro, cooking a little more, probably about 5 minutes, not more than that. Now joining the 2 parts together. Mixing it all well. And the cold borscht is ready. It's perfect for summer. It's absolutely delicious. This was the soup number 6 for today, and now we are up to the last one, number 7. It's regular borscht. Let's get the ingredients together. So we have baked tomatoes, carrots and beets. Here cilantro, parsley and dill all together. Leeks, cabbage. At the same time, we are separately cooking potatoes and beans. When the potatoes are ready, we place cabbage right in there, and meanwhile prepare some vegetables to be taken through food processor. Beets, red and yellow, carrots, and some garlic. It all goes through the food processor, and this is placed also in the pot with cabbage and potatoes. It goes right there. Yeah, tomatoes also went in there, and now leeks. Now the tomatoes, beets, carrots, that was all baked beforehand. So now we are, after the leeks, we are adding greens, parsley, cilantro, and dill, and finally bay leaves, black pepper and salt, and that's all. Now we are mixing it well, and before putting it to boil for about 5 minutes, we pour some water in it, a little more water. Now we are cooking it for not more than 5 minutes. After 5 minutes of cooking, just take it to boil. 5 minutes is all that's needed, and it's ready. It's delicious. The last step, adding some lemon juice, just a little bit. It's ready, delicious. We made 7 soups.